I grew up here in Aleutian until about 1967, and our parents moved us out of here because my older siblings were going to go to a boarding school, and that would separate the family, so the parents figured we'd just move us all to Washington State. Well, yeah, making it home was a surprise to me. Here I was working at Sambo's restaurant as a dishwasher. I had a 70 Javelin SST car. You know, I thought I was like the rule of the world at that time. Then my mom came to me and said, you know, you're gonna go home, we're sending you to Aleutian. And that was a shock to me. I was reluctant to go at first because of all my friends, I'm leaving what I'm familiar with. But then there was that inkling that I wanted to get back. That connection was important. First time I've ever been on an airplane, and I get into SeaTac, and I look out the window at all these nice jets, you know, and thinking, it's gonna be weird getting on a jet. And then I realized we're getting on the prop plane. I'm going, prop plane to Alaska. So they called it the Aleutian Connection back then. You flew from Seattle right to Cold Bay. And then when you get to Cold Bay, then you make a flight to Dutch Harbor and then to Aleutian on a goose. Anyway, so I get to Cold Bay, and I got split up from my sibling, my sister Debbie I was traveling with. Well, I didn't realize staying back in Cold Bay was going to be 9 days. I was there for 9 days without money, lost, no family, and it was my first experience here in Alaska. Finally got out of there about 5 days later, made it home, and when I came back in 1980, most of those people were still alive. And when I walked to the village, it was the old village then still, and it was like Hobbiton. It was like everybody had these little groomed yards and flowers, and when I came home, I got a really good welcome. There was like, hey, finally came home, you know, and I'm like, man, it was the best feeling in the world. And then that didn't last long, maybe 9 days of freedom, and my aunt said, time to go to work. You need to go find a job. I got into art actually in 3rd grade. I used to do desk art. And then 7th grade, my mom took us to Southeast Alaska. That's when I got into native crafts. I was just floored by the native crafts in Southeast Alaska. The masks, the drums, everything was just like, oh my God, it's starting to click. Well, I got home, I got one of my mom's paring knives, you know, and I got a little piece of wood, and I carved a totem pole, you know, and it turned out really good. Well, I took it home and showed it to my mom. My mom being a Unangax, and being interned in Southeast Alaska, where the Indian girls picked on her, where she had to be homeschooled, she was an abomination. She oh my God, that is not your culture. You will never do that again. Don't bring anything like that into the house. You're not an Indian. And I'm going, wow, is my mom a racist or something? Because, you know, why didn't she like this? I thought my mom was native, but I didn't know the differences, you know, at that time. But so I got out of it and didn't carve anything after that. I was just too scared to do it. After graduation, I got back here to home. And then I started seeing the artwork done by the folks here. Like Pete Cooterin did a beautiful ikiaks with little men in them. And then I go drop ducks off at Bill Trepanough's, and while you're here, you want to check that fur right there in that bucket for me. And I picked it up and he goes, now see if the fur will come off. And I said, oh yeah, it comes right off. And I go, well, what are you soaking that in? He goes, well, it's me and Mama's piss. And I'm thinking, piss? Piss? You know? And that's where it kind of sparked right then. I go, well, what are you doing with that? Oh, I'm making a drum. But then I went crab fishing and I missed out. Everything became a mystery after that, because by the time I got back, he'd already gifted or sold that piece. But luckily later on, there was microfilm at the school. And I was looking through microfilm, and lo and behold, there's pictures of him with his drums. I reverse engineered the drum. The drum was something else. Right now, I'm the only one that makes the tatunach. It's what he called a tom-tom. Having that microfilm really helped solve the mystery of how he built them. Shared it with a few folks in St. Paul, and they're really liking that. And then I just get a kick out of it. I do the artwork because I didn't have the examples to really look at, because most of the stuff are in museums. I always tell the young Unangax here in town that they're rich, and they look at me like, Rich? I live in poverty. What are you talking about? I said, you're rich culturally.